Hello viewers, welcome to brand new episode of Campus Eye. I am Anaswara. Let's have a look at this week's news. The centenary ground of the college is all set to host annual athletic sports meet 2021-22 for both UG and PG students on 30th March. Week-long pre-events and the qualifying rounds are held, which started from 21st of March. The qualifying team and the athletes of pre-events will play the semi-finals and the finals on 30th March. Events include tug of war, discus throw, high jump, triple jump, javelin throw, hammer throw, track events of 100, 200, 400, 1500, 5000 meters and 4 into 300 meters relay. March past competition will be held on the day wherein each class come together as a whole team with a set theme and showcase the discipline, grace and unity, and the best group wins. Under the NCC Best Institution Award category, St. Aloysius NCC Army Wing Senior Division of 18 Karnataka Battalion NCC Mangalore Group won 3rd place in the state level and 1st place in the district level. Award ceremony was performed at Christ University, Bangalore by the DDG Karnataka and Goa Directorate on March 13. SUO Surya C. Adka won the Best Cadet Award. The award was based on the annual performance of the cadets and ANO of the institution and the number of activities organized by the institution during the academic year 2021-22. St. Aloysius College, in association with Mangalore University Department of Physical Education, organized Mangalore University Intercollegiate Cricket Tournament for women on 18th and 19th of March at College Centenary Ground. Mr. Prashant Brax, UAE cricket team player, ICC Level 3 coach and a former cricketer of St. Aloysius College, and Dr. Gerald Santosh D'Souza, Director of Mangalore University Department of Physical Education, were the chief guests of the tournament. 7 colleges under Mangalore University took part in the tournament. GFGC Women's College Ajarkad won the tournament. Alvas College Mudbidri was the first runners, whereas St. Aloysius was the second runners. For the very first time, the tournament was held using the leather ball instead of tennis ball. After the tournament, 18 players from different colleges were selected for the Mangalore University cricket team.
Mangalore University Intercollegiate Tournament for women, and this will be held first time for women in leather ball. Earlier we used to conduct in a tennis ball. Last 3 to 4 years, Mangalore University organized this Mangalore tournament in a tennis ball, and the first time we are organizing this tournament in a leather ball. And this year totally 7 teams registered for this tournament.
ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೀರಿಯನ್ಸ್ ಸೂಪರ್ ಆಗಿತ್ತು. ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಹಾರ್ಡ್ ಬೋರ್ಡ್ ಮ್ಯಾಚ್ ಆಗಿರೋದು. ಇಷ್ಟು ದಿನ ಟೆನ್ನಿಸ್ ಬಾಲ್ ಮ್ಯಾಚ್ ಮಾತ್ರ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಿತ್ತು. ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೀರಿಯನ್ಸ್ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದೆ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ನಮ್ಮದು ಸೆಮಿಫೈನಲ್ ಹಂಗೆ ಆಳ್ವಾಸ್ ಒಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಟೀಮ್ ಇದ್ದಿತ್ತು. ಆಳ್ವಾಸ್ ಹಂಗೆ ಅವ್ರು ವಿನ್ ಆಯ್ತು ಮ್ಯಾಚು. ಆಳ್ವಾಸ್ ಅವ್ರು ವಿನ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಮ್ಯಾಚು. ಆದರೂ ಕೂಡ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಓವರ್ವರೆಗೂ ಮ್ಯಾಚನ್ನು ತಂದಿದ್ದೇವೆ. ಎರಡು ಟೀಮು ಕೂಡ ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಟಫ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಟಫ್ ಮ್ಯಾಚನ್ನು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೇವೆ. ಆದರೆ ಖುಷಿ ಆಯಿತು, ಆರ್ಗನೈಸೇಷನ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದೆ.
St. Aloysius Institutions, in collaboration with St. Aloysius College Alumni Association (SACA), inaugurated the groundwater recharge setup for the study purpose of students on March 14. The main aim is to teach students about the value of groundwater and also to understand how a recharge well may help society manage its water resources in future. QR code is installed near the recharge well to provide additional information about the concept when it is scanned. The management intends to have additional recharge wells throughout the campus. The chief guest, Reverend Father Valerian D'Souza, discussed how St. Aloysius College has always been concerned about the environment and has always valued such unique initiatives. He stressed the significance of informing the next generation about such activities so that they are aware of them. Rector Reverend Father Melvin Pindo SJ, Principal Reverend Dr. Praveen Martis SJ were present. Students and staff from various institutions. Ms. Vaishali, Office Manager of SACA, as well as members of the SACA committee attended the event. Did you know that there is a frog named after our beloved city? That's right. Up next, we have a compassionate nature enthusiast who has discovered new species of frogs and has dedicated his life to connecting and doing research on wildlife and nature. We are talking about Dr. Vineet Kumar, who calls himself a naturalist and shares his journey as a nature enthusiast with us.
Hello everyone, today we are meeting a very interesting person. So this is a very unique kind of person in which you would say he is living passion, profession, hobby all together. So he is Dr. Vineet Kumar, who is a zoology professor, who is a wildlife photographer, and who does bird watching as a part of his life in his daily life. So good afternoon, sir. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great.
Yeah, so the news of the city, the talk of the city today nowadays is the new species here that you've found out, right, about frogs. Yeah. So can you talk a little bit more about that, and especially the naming, which is very, very interesting.
Okay. So I was very fascinated with amphibians, especially frogs, for a long time now, since I was a student maybe in my degree days. When I first time attended a workshop by a person called Dr. K B Guru Raja, I was just a student like you maybe. So I was very thrilled or fascinated by the behavior of amphibians, because that until then I was only into birds. Then it just captivated me, which made me to carry out my research, my PhD on amphibians. And as I was doing my research, I stumbled upon a species of amphibian which I didn't know which species is that. Basically, I found it something very interesting and new, because I had traveled some part of the Ghats and I already knew that this particular call or the sound was something new. You know that in frogs we have every different species making different sounds. Okay. So it's like a signature of a human, right? You have a different signature and I have a different signature. Same way frogs, every species has a different call. So when I heard the call of this particular individual for the first time, I thought first it may be an insect. Later, when we did some analysis on the sound and also the DNA of that, we found that it is having a 3% plus difference with all the known congeners, means the species of the same genus throughout the world. And more interestingly, all its cousins are from Indonesia or Southeast Asia. But the very characteristic of this species was a narrow mouth. It had a small and narrow mouth. So that's why this belongs to a group called microhyla, which means micro means small, hyla means hyoid bone, which is the jaw. So small mouth. So that's why narrow mouth frog was confirmed. It was microhyla. But which species? Then we had to name it. It's like a naming ceremony, right?
Like a subspecies.
Yes. So species.
Yeah,
it's a species,
okay.
not a subspecies.
Okay.
But we thought of naming it maybe after a person, maybe. Then I thought, why not contribute this to the place where we are, right? So Mangalore is called Kodiyal in Konkani. So then I thought, why not keep Microhyla Kodiyal? That's how the naming ceremony was done. Today we have the Microhyla Kodiyal.
Okay. So actually it's particularly fascinating, because when scientists, they find out new things, no? So basically they name it after their, they name the things like that.
Yes.
So it was particularly interesting for us. So when you gave a name for, inspiring Kodiyal, the name of Mangalore.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's a reason behind that, because whenever I meet my friends globally, whenever I say Mangalore, the first thing what is, Bangalore. So just to put that Mangalore in the forefront sort of globally, to give a recognition for Mangalore, that's the reason why I thought this would be more appropriate.
Right. So can you talk us through a little bit about your bird watching hobbies and the recent? So also I would like to know more about, in the world of bird watching as well, how do you recognize them birds easily, and how do you go through it?
Yes. So bird watching is another hobby which I picked up early in my life. Maybe when I was 18, 19 only, I was into bird watching, because one of my friend was into bird watching. So you always have your friends who influence your life, right? So just like that, I had a friend who was a bird watcher who influenced me. And then one of my professors in the zoology department, by Dr. Hema was also into bird watching. So for the first time, they took us for a bird watching session when I was in my bachelor's degree in science in St. Aloysius College. Then I picked up, because I am an enthusiast and naturalist by instinct, because whenever I get vacation or holidays, I would be most of the time spending my time in the forest, sort of. Then bird watching became a new hobby. I used to observe everything, but specifically birds was only after this encounter with my friend and Professor Hema P. So they instilled that passion in me for bird watching, and then it took off, sort of. After that, I've never stopped it. For the last 15 years, I've been doing bird watching. And why bird watching, if you ask? I feel everybody should do bird watching, because it's a hobby which you can do anywhere. Just now, if you just get in tune with nature, you can just listen to the sounds. And it's all about listening to the sounds. And also, even if you don't see the bird, you are able to make out. After some years, that just by listening to the sounds, you can say, oh, this is the barbet, or this is a bulbul. So it's a hobby, it's just like a meditation, right? So you know that by meditating, you get into peace. So we go to peace by doing bird watching. Whenever you're stressed, just go for bird watching. It's like a coffee, which is for many people, right? Yes.
Yeah, so I do relate with you. It's trying to be one with nature, and that's very meditative when you're trying to connect with nature. So can you also talk us through what you do in your daily life, and especially your naturalist part of your life? So what all do you do? Including bird watching and photography and things like that.
Yes. See, as a naturalist, I would like to see everything with the angle of a naturalist. So whenever I observe something in nature, I always try to see what is the intricacy of that. What is the inner details of that? Because there may be a spider, which you may think it is building the web, but it may be just leaving its thread to capture a prey maybe. So it's always like to see at the details, minor details of the things. So as a naturalist, I always try to observe more keenly. I try to use all my senses to its optimum. That's why they say that if you are a naturalist and a bird watcher, you will never be having problems of senses. I have a spec which is not for my vision, it's only for the brightness. So your vision will be 100% all right, and also your hearing, you will never get any problems related to hearing also. So what I try to do is I also try to encourage students, I involve students in something called citizen science, where we educate general public also. We try to involve people in bird watching, something called campus bird count, where we do bird watching in campuses. So where I was leading a team in Mangalore University when I was a student there. Then as a professor in Aloysius, I was leading it there. Now I'm also associated with something called Nitte University Center for Science Education and Research. And also I was able to collaborate with some people, and also Smita Hegde is one of the professors there. With her, we worked on the books, Birds on the Campus book, and we successfully have brought out a book on their campus. I'm also one of the authors. So it's like that. So a lot of camps involve students, because finally it should reach to the mass, right? And me doing alone is not enough. Somebody else have to influence people. So as a naturalist, I believe strongly that you need to influence, you have to inspire people to take up this work. Because once you are gone, then somebody else should be doing it. So I feel it's happening. Many students are getting attracted to that. At least they get a sense of their environment. It's very important to be conscious, right? Because we are doing a lot of things which may be harming our nature, but we do not know why we are doing or the harm involved in that. So if you are conscious, if you are a bird watcher or a naturalist, you know that, okay, come on, if I do this, there is a lot of harm to the nature. Let me not do that. Let us be conscious in our actions.
Speaking of it, spreading the word, right? About the nature and also the harm we're doing to the nature. So would you like to specifically make us aware as to what we can be aware of as a normal person, right? So who can reduce danger to the birds, the wildlife, as we're living in the city, because development is going very fast in the cities. So according to your observations, how can we keep it under control, or how can we be more sensitive towards nature and environment?
Okay. So see, it is not very hi-fi things we need to do. We have to make minimalistic changes in our lifestyle. Maybe for example, not only birds, it's for entire biodiversity or ecosystem. So imagine you go to a place and drink some juice or something like that. Then you use a straw, right? So always we like to use a straw. But avoid it. Instead you can use a paper. So you know that straws, where the straws are ending up, right? It's in the ocean. So finally all the life is affected by this huge problem called plastic. So I think we can start by slowly reducing the use of plastics. We can also use paper instead of plastic, because plastic is the biggest problem of 21st century. So, and other than that, we can also reduce the usage of maybe fertilizers, those who are into agriculture, because these fertilizers can get into soil, and also there's something called biomagnification. Right? So these chemicals which doesn't get dissolved in water, the levels goes on increasing in the water or in the animals which feed on the animals which
feed on waste.
Yeah, feed on water bodies. Right? So imagine there's something called phytoplanktons which feed on water. Basically, they use water and they do photosynthesis. Then some fishes or zooplankton feed on it. Small fishes feed that. Finally, who is going to feed that? Humans maybe, or maybe larger birds which are predators.
Yeah.
Right? So when they feed it, the levels of that chemical might have increased to such an intensity that it may have adverse effects on that animal. It's been already noted that a chemical called DDT, which was used in the pesticides to kill an ant or maybe mosquitoes, that level increased so much in the aquatic ecosystem. When the fishes were hunted by these hawks or eagles, they had this DDT in their body, which would cause their eggshells to be very thin and the eggs wouldn't hatch. So the whole population of birds would decline. So small change maybe, but still it will have a huge impact. So we have to reduce, reuse, recycle, and also at the same time refuse sometimes, because you can also say no, right? So whenever a vendor gives you a plastic, say no. You take your own polythene or this one, or paper bag maybe, or maybe a silk bag. So you can take your own bags and also say no. Refusing is also very important. They say 3 hours, but I would add 4 hours is also very important. Yeah.
So basically, our actions will have a direct or indirect effect. I'll come back to us.
Absolutely. Every small thing what you do every day, you just note down.
Yes.
Am I really harming the nature? What is the intensity of harm what I'm doing when I'm using a toothpaste maybe, or when I'm using this particular material of cloth? So everything definitely you need to make a detailed note of it, and then start reducing that particular thing which is harming the nature.
Yeah. So I also heard that there are a lot of students who are learning from you and have taken inspiration from you. So what would you like to give inspiration to the future, photographers or future wildlife, naturalists? So and also I'd like to share your thoughts when people mention you as as an inspiration.
Okay. See, firstly, nature belongs to everyone. So it's not mine. So it belongs to all of you. So basically, you need to be feeling part of it, because most of us are getting disconnected. You know that gadgets like mobiles and laptops and maybe tabs have taken us slowly
Artificial.
They're becoming too much of artificial. We talk about artificial intelligence. So you have to feel connected. It's always very important. So it's not only anybody who's an enthusiast, but everybody should start to feel connected, because our base, our origin lies in the nature. And so unless we feel connected with that, we are always in a disconnect, and we are trying to cause a lot of harm. You hear of words like global warming and climate change, all that. It's happening because we have not been concerned about our own surrounding and environment. So what I would like to say to my fellow bird watching friends or photographers is, take every step, small it may be, to conserve nature, and your every action has an effect on the environment. So be minimalistic. There are people who are going actually absolutely a plastic-free life, but I don't demand you or command you to do that, but at least reduce it. So that's what I said. The same answer, 4 hours would be the best solution for everything. And photograph with sensitivity to wildlife, and also don't get too close to wildlife, and also because you know that wildlife is really wild and you don't know what's going to happen, because they are not tamed animals. And also be conscious, follow the ethical guidelines of photography and bird watching. Do not harm nature, and also whatever small way possible, contribute to the conservation, maybe volunteering or internships, whatever possible from your end. Yes.
So also for the enthusiasts in Bangalore, for the nature enthusiasts in Bangalore, could you mention a few clubs or any groups in which they can also join or take inspiration from?
Definitely. See,
are you a part of a few?
Yeah. So we have a bird watching group in Bangalore called Coastal Karnataka Bird Watchers Network. So this is a frontier where we have all the bird watchers from Bangalore, Udupi, Kundapur, all these areas come together. We have a Facebook forum also. So if you are a bird watcher and enthusiast who want to start, it's a good place to upload your observation so that a senior sees and says, okay, this is the bird. Okay. Also, we have something called India Biodiversity Portal. Is at a national level. We have India Biodiversity Portal, in which you can upload all the observations. Okay, and people will identify that. So slowly you will start to learn what is the name of that. So it should not stop at the name. It should go beyond that. It would also involve in education and conservation. So finally, we should conserve, but it should start with the learning. And they would say that everything starts with learning. So unless you learn, you don't know to protect. So they say you will protect only that thing what you love. So you love only that thing what is being taught, right? So teaching and learning is the first thing. So I feel that it should start with learning, then it will definitely end with conservation. Other than that, we also have frog camps which happen every year. They can also join for frog camps. I personally conduct some camps called display frog camps. So people can also join for that. And other than that, we also have Manipal Bird Club or Manipal Conservation Group, which was started by Amit Singhal. But it is a very good. It's a very good place where people can go and learn about birds because they are very active. Every weekends they conduct bird watching, and there are a lot of fellow bird watchers and enthusiasts in the city itself. You can get in touch with them, go with them, learn because learning has no end, I believe, right? Yes.
So now that we talked a lot of what we can do and what also you are doing. So could you get a small glimpse of what you are into next? What would be your future plans regarding as a naturalist or nature enthusiast?
Yeah. So my future plan, see, I like to travel basically. So as an enthusiast, as a bird watcher, I would like to travel entire of India, especially the entire part of northeastern India. So that's maybe as a hobbyist or a naturalist. But in terms of conservation, I want to contribute as a researcher because research can also help conservation in many different ways. And also, as I told you, I want to influence more people, get more youngsters and do some conservation works. Yeah.
So what I would say is thank you so much for inspiring us, for giving us sharing us your knowledge, and also trying to spread the word about the nature and also how we can conserve and spreading about being more nature friendly. Right. So thank you so much for your time, and I hope we can catch up with you soon.
Definitely. So it was my pleasure to being interviewed. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much. So friends, hope we can get inspired. Hope all of us are inspired by this, and let's take small steps like Sir just mentioned. Trying to use less plastic, being a little bit more thoughtful towards nature, and also being more conservationist regarding nature, and also using less plastics and things like that. Let's be more connected to our origins, and where we belong and who we belong with. So with this messages, back to the studio.
Thank you, Adarsh. That's all for this week's Campus Eye. Thank you for watching. See you next week. Until then, stay tuned.